Let's just keep it a buck. Western society is not ready for relationships. We love companionship. There's a reason why we say that dogs are man's best friend. There's a reason that people call their dogs their babies. Like, we as a culture love companionship. We love that layer of having a great time. What does it mean to be my best friend or the person who I want to marry? Well, let me tell you all of these individual items that are just so amazing about this person, because it's like they're my best friend. It's like they know everything about me. It's like all these different things. But here's the crazy part about relationships as opposed to companionships. Relationships require you to become vulnerable in a way that you come in contact with parts of yourself that you haven't necessarily learned to love yet. Like, not many of us really unconditionally love ourselves and others, because unconditionally loving yourself means there's nothing that you don't love about yourself, and there's nothing that you don't love about others. You can't unconditionally love someone because they're your son or your daughter or your husband or your wife. That's still the condition by which you set them in place. That's why, like, when someone gets divorced or their kids start acting crazy, they say, you know what, I just can't love you anymore, because that's the truth. When you say a name or a title or an idea of what someone is, and then you try to label unconditional love, it's not possible, because you just laid out the conditions. Today's chapter is about the point of view that Western society, I just don't think, is ready for, which is that we want companionship and we masquerade it as relationships, whether it be with marriages or best friends. Like, I heard someone recently say that we introspectively gaslight ourselves into thinking that we're being introspective, when in actuality, we're gaslighting ourselves into thinking that everyone around us is the problem. And I absolutely agree with that. The amount of times that I've thought my friends or the people who I was in a relationship were gaslighting me or mistreating me, when in actuality, I was, what's the right word in this case? Projecting my own insecurities and frustrations with myself on them. We don't want relationship. You can't want a relationship if there are parts of you that you don't love. Because if someone loves you for those parts, how could you accept it? How could you know that it's love if you don't believe in it as love? Seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing. I'm going to reiterate that to you all as many times as I can, because that's the baseline truth to finding peace and truth. Like, I just don't know how else to describe it. So, without further ado, if you guys didn't know, I am writing a book. It's called I Hope You Wake Up. You can check it out. The link is in the bio. The pre-order link is there. You'll get a signed copy, but the book will always be free, because I'm not interested in necessarily making money as much as I am in freeing whoever is ready to wake up from the dream. Well, the fever dream that we call Western culture. So I'm going to do a quick reading of this chapter, as I do with each chapter. You can go check out the playlist. Today's chapter is understanding the difference between companionship and relationships in your life. And here it goes. In many Western societies, the notion of unconditional self-love is not deeply ingrained. Instead, love and acceptance are often conditional, tied to fulfilling certain obligations or confronting or conforming to societal norms. This conditional approach to self-love extends its influence to our relationships with others. If our love for ourselves is contingent upon meeting certain standards, we are likely to impose similar conditions on our love and acceptance of others. In this context, authentic relationships, those that truly reflect who we are, become challenging to maintain. In my personal journey, I found myself recoiling from the true reflection of myself that emerged in my relationships, whether they were romantic or platonic. This aversion led me to opt for companionship, a less demanding and more superficial form of interaction, over deeper, more meaningful relationships. Again, I'm not talking about this in a way that's like y'all are doing something. I need you to understand that this was my journey. I'm speaking to what I've seen in myself, and then in turn, what I see in others. And I'm also open to hearing how it's not the case for you. But I will always communicate the challenges and things that I went through from my perspective, and you can take it however you want. Dr. Shante Holly, a noted expert in the field, provides a clear delineation between companionship and relationships. Here's the key. According to Dr. Holly, companionship is a +1, a good time, a few laughs, somebody to fill the time. Let's spend some time together. Let's meet up and have some drinks. It's very low stakes, and there is no emotional commitment. Companionship is embedded in a relationship, but a relationship is not necessarily embedded in companionship. A relationship requires someone to be emotionally available. It requires fidelity, vulnerability, accountability, honesty, integrity, truthful communication, and an investment of self. A relationship is very high stakes, and this is an emotional investment being made. Confronted with the need to accept myself and others as we truly are, I found myself gravitating towards companionship to fill the voids in my life. This choice allowed me to avoid dealing with the deeper issues of trauma, pain, and struggle that I was not ready to face. Something Western culture does not realize is that most of our perceived relationships are companionships. It's common to feel misunderstood or even betrayed when friends or significant others highlight our flaws, leading to conflict and estrangements. Personally, I found it easier to connect with children and animals as they didn't challenge my defenses or force me to confront my issues. The question I'm posing to you today are challenge, and it might be uncomfortable, but they are questions I had to confront in my own life to let go and find peace. Questions like, could I be the problem? Is the reason I have not found lasting love because of me? Am I not ready to love someone completely because even though I say I love myself, there are sides of me I am not ready to come to terms with? Am I the friends who is gaslighting myself, so in turn I am projecting the action on others' behavior? Am I in search of companionship masqueraded as a significant other, and the second they touch the depths of my soul, I will shrivel and lash out because of the wounds I have yet to heal? I believe that you should always protect yourself from others hurting you, but maybe your relationships haven't worked because you are only ready for companionship. Only you hold the key to the answer. Protecting oneself from hurt is natural, but it's possible that my relationships have faltered because I was only ready for companionship, not a committed relationship. I invite you to think about these things, to ask yourself these questions, to see if maybe you have been afraid in a way that you were unaware of. I ask myself those questions because at the end of the day, I can't convince other people to go out and make changes and do things differently and live a different life and do things the way that I want them to. But I can potentially find out where I was wrong about myself and then make changes in my own life. So much of our culture worries about everybody else, worries about what they're doing, how they're doing it, or whatever the case is. And also, so much of our culture wants to believe that it's ready and healed when it isn't. And that it's okay to not be healed. Like it's okay to want companionship. It's okay to want those things, but like you gotta be honest with yourself. Well, you know what? I use these to actually better understand myself. And one of the things I realize is maybe one of the things that we're not ready to accept is that we're not ready for relationships. And so we jump from relationship to relationship, trying to find a relationship that will be the companionship that we need. I don't know, man. I've not seen many hyper healthy, like ultra healthy relationships where people really do have the ability to love themselves unconditionally. But I do think that is the first step to eventually being able to be in real, deep, serious, loving, interpersonal relationships where we can love people not just for what we want them to be, but for who they are, because we love ourselves for that same reason. If you love the chapter, make sure to pre-order the book. I love you guys dearly. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, check out the other videos. Read the book. It's on IHopeYouWakeUp.com. And until next time, remember, nothing's real.